This video is about the incorrect and technically flawed. I repeat, incorrect and technically flawed views by ICICI Bank group head called Mr. B. Prasanna, right, on 11th February 2022 Indian newspaper Live Mint. I have the printed copy of that which I have taken from the internet. So I request ICICI banker, please do not view this video, because if ICICI bankers will view this video, they feel offended, because here they would get the realistic face of their group head and they will feel extremely offended, because in India there is a culture called boss is always right, which means even if your boss is saying 2 plus 2 equal to 99, you have to follow. This is a culture. And I saw this culture for 9 years in my treasury function, but I hardly followed this. So I request ICICI bankers and treasury people, please do not follow this video. Else there is a bright probability for you to feel offended. And I will not take any responsibility of that. In case you, any treasury person of ICICI, even your group head, even your CEO, Sandeep, he would like to test his banking knowledge, my number is 9899242978. So even Sandeep is interested to challenge his knowledge, then 9899242978. But still, if ICICI bankers wish to review this video, then they will definitely feel offended. Of course, they will feel that whatever I am saying is correct, but they have to follow this policy. Boss is always right. Have a great time ahead. Good evening. This is Rahul Magan here as a Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consulting, and also a venture capitalist. As we speak, Treasury Consulting Group is a multinational headquartered group based out India, Singapore, and Hong Kong. And unlike Ola, Uber, Swiggy, Zomato, Paytm, Byju's, Delivery, and many more, we are 100% profitable. I repeat, we are 100% profitable. You know that I worked in the corporate treasury for 9 years. In this corporate treasury, I interact with almost every bank of the globe. Almost every bank of the globe. Now Treasury Consulting is a hedge fund and expanding. And now we are interacting with many banks. We are a proprietary hedge fund. When I started my career in 2007, I tend to believe that bankers are most intelligent people in the world. Rather, I used to believe that bankers are the only intelligent people in the banking because their intelligence make them bankers. And I still remember that in 2007 when I joined the treasury function, I firstly interacted with Bank of America India head and Bank of America vice president India. And later on in the last nine, basically after this meeting for next 9 years till the time I was with the corporate treasury, I continued to interact with many bankers. And one thing which made me very clear before I quitted my corporate career in 2016 and started treasury consulting is that the height of stupidity is extremely high in bankers. Rather, bankers are those people who are here in the industry not because of knowledge but because of relationships. We got lots of research reports from banks. Even today, treasury consulting getting so many research reports from the banks. And whenever I get time to study these research reports, which I continue to do by the way, I feel a lot of mistakes, and on a very often basis, I keep pointing the mistakes in the public domain. And you would be surprised that the people are chasing me on the LinkedIn. I don't think the world, or at least India, needs to forget about the Chanda Kochar incident in ICICI Bank. Rather, after that incident, Chanda Kochar is more or less absent from the media. I remember probably few years ago, almost every day, Chanda Kochar used to come in the media, almost every day. And her counterpart, Shikha Sharma from Axis Bank, she also used to come in the media. But from the last several months, I'm really surprised that why people are extremely silent about Chanda Kochar and Shikha Sharma. These two leading ladies at a given point of time, now they are more or less absent from media. You know the reason. I got an article that published in Indian newspaper on 11th February 2022. I repeat, 11th February 2022, and I have taken a printout of that. This article is by B. Prasanna, who is a group head, Global Markets, Sales, Trading and Research at ICICI Bank. I repeat, B. Prasanna, who is a group head, Global Markets, Sales, Trading and Research at ICICI Bank. So if you look at the designation, like such a big designation is being mentioned, you feel like this designation is a very, very great designation because you feel like that the person who sits at this designation must be a very intelligent person or must be a person who possessed huge knowledge. Rather, this person must be Einstein or maybe Newton or maybe Edison. Many weeks ago, I saw him on the Bloomberg TV and I immediately took the screenshot and I shared on Facebook also about the mistake which he committed on the Bloomberg TV. But now one thing which is very, very, very much realized is that even Bloomberg TV is completely compromised because the things which they supposed to show, they never show. The things they asked to show, they only show this. And I have seen that in the last few months, Bloomberg TV is giving specific hypes to the loss making startups. Anyways, we will discuss this separately on the Bloomberg. So, according to the article which published on 11th February 2022 on Indian newspaper Live Mint, the title of the article is GDP may grow by 8.2% thanks to IT, reality, and startups. I repeat, this person said GDP may grow by 8.2% thanks to IT, reality, and startup. In this article, Prasanna not talked about the Ford Motors who quitted India and according to many articles near about 40,000 jobs. Near about 40,000 jobs is at stake. Prasanna not told about the net international investment position, which is also known as NIIP. By the way, NIIP stands at FX reserves minus FX liabilities, which, by the way, for India is negative since ages. Since ages. It means India FX liabilities are much higher than Indian FX assets. Prasanna not talked about that crores of people, rather several million people are living below poverty line in India. And I'm not saying this is the information which is available on Google. Prasanna not talked about the credit or almost no working capital by MSME, the small and medium term enterprises. Prasanna not talked about that 99% of the startups, which includes Paytm, Ola, Uber, Swiggy, Zomato, and all these, they are loss making. They are loss making startup. Prasanna not talked about that 1.4 lakh crores and expanding. 1.4 lakh crores worth of loss investors already faced because of investments in Paytm, Zomato, Nikia, and Policy Bazaar. He not talked about this. Prasanna not talked about the huge debt in the books of government of India and expanding. Huge debt in the books of government of India and expanding. Prasanna not talked about that only one entity of the government, only one, which is National Highway Authority of India, shortly known as NHAI, effective financial year 15, their debt grew by 14 times, which means from 24,000 crores till near about 3,40,000 crores. Prasanna not talked about that. This is called stupidity, or this is called paid media, because you asked to write something which few people want. And then these so called bankers claim themselves as bankers. And you know the height of stupidity, which we would be deliberating more in the next part, which is part 2. But before I conclude this part, when now I meet with bankers, either online or probably virtual meeting or in conferences in Singapore, I interacted with them the way they deserve. One lesson to the youngster: bankers are not God. They are those people who asked to spell by few people. And this is what they are doing. See you in the part 2 of the video. Welcome to part second of the video. From 2007 till now, I am consistently repeating one thing that Reserve Bank of India do not deserve to be a central bank. Rather, I remember many times in the conferences I repeated the same thing. And many people contacted me after that. Rather, few days ago, I shot a video whereby I challenged Reserve Bank of India governor. And this isn't the first time I challenged them. I challenged him many times, but he never replied. Now, let me go to the last paragraph of the article which is published by ICICI Bank. The introduction of credit default swap guidelines and allowing Indian banks to transact in foreign currency settled OIS market are very positive for deepening the financial markets. FCS OIS will deepen the interest rate derivative market and ensure convergence between onshore and offshore markets and much better price discovery. We believe that current policy has laid out a glide path of inflation, which is quite optimist and has just justified the no action policies, pushing the policy normalization further out. If you read this line, you feel like there is nothing wrong in that. But do you know what this person is talking it about? There is no credit default swap market in India. What the hell is credit default swap? Credit default swap is history. History. Mystery. The world has moved to basket swaps, trigger swaps, first till default swap, and many much. Do you know that the structured derivative in itself is an industry? And when we speak about credit default swap, we are talking about tip of an iceberg. The problem we have in India is that, and that I have raised this since 2007, bankers have asked to do one thing. Whenever there is any policy coming of RBI and SEBI, bankers only have one role. Excellent, super, great, brilliant policy. We were waiting for this. Very well policy. This will make India a more strong economy. Brilliant, very well. End result, 99% of these policies failed. Whether this is non-performing asset, whether this is insolvency and bankruptcy code, whether this is corporate resolution, whether this is valuation courses, or you name, they all failed because the people who make these guidelines, they have no practical exposure. Now let me reply to Prasanna. Prasanna, I know because I worked in the banking domain for 9 years and still interacting with banking. I know there are two kind of bankers we have in India. Number one, who polish the boot of their bosses. I repeat, who polish the boot of their bosses and get a designation. Unfortunately, the composition of them is 99%. But still, India left with 1% bankers who work hard. I repeat, who work hard and get a minimum package. They are very smart people, but they do not know the boot polish. You belong to number one category. Don't you know that credit default swap market requires a buyer and a seller? Do not you know that ISDA have defined three trigger mechanism in CDS? To have these three trigger mechanism, you need a very liquid market. Don't you know about the latest CDS products, and out of which not a single CDS product is applicable in India? Don't you know that the corporates in India have no risk management policy to have CDS? Hardly 1% corporates. I repeat, guys, hardly 1% corporates in India take options. 99% corporates take plain vanilla forward contracts. Plain vanilla forward contracts. And still, this person talking about CDS. Like I told you, if RBI and SEBI will bring anything in the public, there is a complete banking fraternity whose job is brilliant policy. Brilliant policy. Because they know if they do not do this, then they don't get appraisal. They don't get anything. They know about this. That is why every time on every policy they do this. Now let's talk about this. FCS OIS, which is overnight index swap. Prasanna, do not you know about NDF, non-deliverable forward? What the height of stupidity you talking? You are saying that FCS OIS will deepen the interest rate derivative market. Do you even know that interest rate derivative market in India, which includes OIS, overnight index swap, FRA, forward rate agreement, swaption, caps, collars, reverse swaption, inverse collar, and hundreds of products, no one even taking them. Hardly less than 0.5% of the treasurers even barely understand them. Do you know the difference between inverse collar and reverse collar? I doubt you even heard about collar. Forget the difference between inverse collar and reverse collar. Anyways, what is saying? And ensure convergence between offshore and onshore market. You mean to say that the spread between non-deliverable forward of INR, which trades as per Tokyo Cut in Singapore, is going to be converged with the local trading markets of India? You mean to say this? You believe that since you are the so-called group head, global market, sales, trading, and research, everyone is an idiot. And whatever you are talking, we got to believe that. Do you even know that the OIS market in India, which is known as overnight index swap, right, is not even correlated with MIBOR, Mumbai Interbank Offered Rate. Forget the correlation between onshore and offshore. Forget the correlation between onshore and offshore. And what the hell you talking about here? The problem is not with the Prasanna. The problem is with the live mint. the newspaper, who published this without any checking. Without any checking. This is called stupidity. This is called paid media. Not live mint, Prasanna. This is called the bankers who reached at the top by polishing the shoes. Because a sensible banker who is a technically correct banker, who is a fundamentally sound banker, will not do this kind of stupidity. Rest assured, very soon we would be bringing lot of stupidities in many master circulars of Reserve Bank of India. But yes, I might not be aware about these things had I not worked in a treasury function, had I'm not managing my own proprietary fund, and had I not interacted with these bankers. And many of these bankers are in my WhatsApp group. And every day, many of the bankers are, contacting me on the WhatsApp that I wanted to be in your WhatsApp group. Because they know the kind of knowledge we are providing on our WhatsApp group, even degrees do not provide that. So Prasanna, next time be careful. The paid and the compromised channels are giving you a hype. Probably the newspapers are also giving you a hype. But remember, there are still few intelligent and technical people left in the treasury function. But Prasanna, if you feel offended, note my number 9899242978. And let you show your technical knowledge to me. I would be happy to challenge you. At least show. Have a great time ahead. If you are an Indian banker and if you are giving your views in public, maybe magazine, probably the newspaper, probably the media, probably even the Bloomberg TV, then guys, remember one thing very carefully. Because there is at least one company we have in the world. I repeat, there is one company we have in the world who is competent enough, rather profitable, to challenge even Goldman Sachs. And more products are coming. So before giving any views in public, probably the magazines, probably the newspapers, even the Bloomberg TV, talk about technical concepts which are correct. Don't just do the level of stupidity like the so-called ICICI global head did. And do not dare to think that no one can challenge you. Treasury consulting is not even a dollar, not even a dollar funded by any venture capitalist and private equity. Not a dollar is being pumped by any third party in our hedge fund. And still we are profitable. So Indian bankers, please be careful. Right? That is the only message I wanted to give to you. Because your global head, ICICI, is saying thanks to IT reality and startup. Be careful, right? Rest you know. My number 9899242978. I repeat 9899242978. One thing which I have learned in my 9 years of career in a treasury function and probably 5 years of career as a treasury consulting, interacted with you people, interacted with Bloomberg, interacted with Reuters, interacted with many platforms, is that the level of skill set is relatively very poor. Yes, I mentioned Reuters and Bloomberg also. I pinpointed many mistakes in Bloomberg terminal, and also I was acted as a trainer for Reuters, wherein I was guiding the salespeople of the Reuters how to sell Reuters. So please talk in a relatively technical way. Rather than mentioning FCS OIS, foreign currency OIS, first learn what the hell is OIS. And I'm doubt whether you understand the asset side of the OIS and the liability side of the OIS. Because your global head not even talked about that. OIS hold two legs, asset side and liability side. And you have heard this first time that asset side leg also exists. Am I correct? Ramanna not mentioned this. Prasanna not mentioned this. This is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group. Happy ICICI Bank.